mij heel vaak, ik moet ook niet te veel weten. Ik moet terugschakelen naar het gewone publiek waar het om ging.
Ja.
Nou, dat is voor mij ook een andere informatie.
Ja.
Want ik kan al.
So it's very common in the eastern part of Europe, and that has been common for quite some time now. We also see it in the Middle East. We see it, near Israel or the Black Sea and near Iran. But it's also happening in the eastern part of Europe, the Baltics, Poland, Moldova, etc. And of course, it's a part of the hybrid warfare against Europe from Russia. And it's known, so that's very important to understand. It's not something that we do not understand, and it's not something that we cannot counter. So the safety risk is lower than we might think it is.
Maar het is ook belangrijk om mensen awareness te brengen.
2 years ago, when jamming and spoofing were becoming more common and it started rising basically, there was a risk because pilots did not know it was happening. So all of a sudden they looked at the instruments and they saw navigational errors, or when it comes to spoofing, they did not know that they were somewhere else. Nowadays, there are many awareness campaigns and pilots are being trained in how to identify the problem and then use their backup systems in order to keep on flying.
Expert over, zonder te simpel te praten.
Our research says that there are multiple stations along the border of NATO, the NATO border basically, where they control these jamming systems or these spoofing systems. So they are in control, they can turn it up and they can turn it down.
Het moet natuurlijk ook gewoon in lijn zijn. Het is niet zo dat ik iets moet gaan roepen wat niet klopt met wat jullie straks zien.
In this time of age, they all know what's happening, especially when you fly in that region, and they know how to mitigate it, and that's very important to understand. Another thing that's important to understand is that we need to be less dependable on GPS systems. Like 2, 3, 4 and longer years and longer ago, we still had VOR beacons, NDB beacons, and what does that mean? Those are radio beacons on the ground that we used for navigational purposes. Slowly, they are being replaced by GPS systems. Maybe we should go back to reinstating those systems. And we see that happening in Sweden, Finland, and the Baltic states. They are turning back the older systems to become less reliable dependable on GPS.
Ik heb voordat we deze sessie gingen doen, werd ik toevallig ook gebeld door een vlieger.
This is truly a show of force. We can partly own the airspace. We can do what we want in that airspace without being punished, basically. And it does affect the European airspace. Even beyond Berlin, you feel the effects. It's not dangerous anymore because people are being trained, but it does affect you. And as a commercial, it's not just pilots, commercial aviation, but also people on the ground. When you use your own devices and you navigate in the car, it also affects that. So you have to understand it might affect you on a personal level also.
Is mensen een beetje wakker schudden. En dat ga jij doen. Jij gaat ook in die modus van nee.
Die heeft vandaag de operatie.
Is het vandaag?
Ja, die zit om 2:30 gaat zonder mis. Ja.
Wat ben jij ontzettend cool en rustig.
Ja toch? Ja.